Africa, Africa, Africa. Who cast this? Have a look at this. The Vice President of Equatorial Guinea arriving in the 78th UN General Assembly meeting that just concluded in a private jet. You will be forgiven to think that is the most expensive thing he did. But again, he's known to be extravagant. After all, he's the gentleman who bought the Michael Jackson famous glove. He's the one who bought on auction the Batman bike. So, what can top this? This gentleman, Mheshimiwa, Honorable, stayed in the most expensive New York penthouse. The penthouse costs the taxpayer $75,000 a night. Just have a look at him exploit. Now that is your leader, an African leader, the Vice President of Equatorial Guinea. At the stage of the UN General Assembly, what he asked for is aid to help his people be better, for Africa generally. Is it what we really need? More aid or proper utilization of the resources that this continent has? Let's have a listen at him speak.
Africa should receive priority attention in support initiatives and in financing for development. Financing for development commitments must be implemented so that we can reach the goals of Agenda 2030.
Let us put this in context. Equatorial Guinea is a West African country that has a population of less than 2 million people. It has a GDP per capita that is like 3 times that of Kenya. The GDP per capita is simply just the gross domestic product but divided by their population. So it does not reflect on the exact amount of wealth per individual, but just a measure of what it would have been like had it been equally distributed. It stands at around 7,000 and something, while Kenya's is at 2,000 and something. But when it comes to the actual living standards, the Equatorial Guinea population, 2/3 of it live poorly. They can't afford what is basic. 70% of the population live in poverty. They lack the very basics. You find the mortality rate is very high in Equatorial Guinea. The life expectancy is very low in Equatorial Guinea. If you give birth to a kid there, the kid is more likely to die than any other country. And yet, when it comes to economic growth, it has it has one of the fastest economic growths within the continent. Why? Now we understand. This is why nobody can help us change the situation in our countries but ourselves. That is why. Because just as the countries continue to grow, just as we have so much wealth, so much resources, as long as the few are having it all, the 80 rule, where 80% of the population are enjoying only 20% of the wealth, whereas the 20% of the elites are eating the 80% of the cake. That is the curse of Africa. That is the curse of Equatorial Guinea, where you find a deputy president, the son of the president, lives abroad, owns so many apartments and so many cars and luxury items and yachts and so much more. Where in 2006, he spent more abroad to acquire houses and these luxury items than the country actually spent in education in his own country. Now that is the curse. What do? We either pray or we change leadership. Think about it. Food for thought.